There were witnesses that witnessed what happened. And, anything that they do in the dark is going to come to light.
Family members of a Fargo man murdered in Moorhead are still searching for answers more than 2 months after his death. Newly obtained court documents point to 4 people being involved in his beating. As Valley News Team's Joshua Pagero tells us, his family says those who witnessed the attack need to come forward.
Richard Stevens was killed on June 4th. Weeks later, the pain of his loss is still very real to his family.
There's times when I look at my phone and I try to call him, and then I'm like, oh, he's not alive, Like, it's starting to really sink in that my brother is gone.
Diana Mungu says her brother Stephen immigrated to the United States from South Sudan, escaping a civil war. Although he left a war-torn country in Africa, he ended up dying at this Moorhead apartment building.
He didn't deserve that. No one deserves that, And it's already tough being a minority in this country. And to think that you can do right and still harm comes your way is very, very disturbing.
Search warrants I obtained ID'd at least 4 people that might have been involved in the killing of Richard Stevens, although only 2 have been arrested so far. Cameron St. Clair and Erin Sumby were both arrested in connection to his death. Investigators say hours before Stevens' killing, the 2 were in a mini crime spree, stealing vehicles and breaking car windows. St. Clair is facing 2 separate murder charges and 1 count of manslaughter, while Sumby is facing several charges, including aiding an offender.
My brother is not involved in any type of gangs, any drug affiliations, nothing like that. And so this, to me, it's completely random that it occurred.
Investigators allege a deadly altercation began when Stevens' girlfriend was being catcalled from a vehicle. As she continued walking inside her building, Stevens' girlfriend was attacked by Sumby, and he was then beaten by 2 men, one of them St. Clair. Though court documents name an additional 2 other suspects, we are not identifying them since they have not been arrested. In Moorhead, Joshua Pagero, Valley News Live.
Moorhead police told us this week the case of Richard Stevens' death remains under investigation. They are asking anyone who may have witnessed the incident to come forward and call local law enforcement.
Grand Forks emergency responders showed up to the Lithia Ford Lincoln dealership after Joby Linsky lit a fire inside the garage.
That exploded, dude.
I know.
That was crazy.
I ran this way.
He was an employee at the time working on vehicles. You can see Linsky on May of 2019 walking to the middle of the garage with a lighter in hand. He puts it to the ground where there's gas, and it quickly turns into large flames, burning him and trapping 2 employees.
Honestly,
Did you joke on somebody?
joke. That's all I can say. I obviously did not intend to do what happened.
A trapped employee managed to run out while on fire, and then behind him another employee also in flames. One of them was taken to the hospital with burns.
2 guys were dumping out, or they removed a gas tank from a vehicle back here, that one that's laying on the ground.
Okay.
They're letting it drain, which is not probably proper protocol.
Linsky was charged with endangerment by fire and sentenced last week to a year in prison, with all but 3 months of his sentence suspended.
His thing is that he was playing a joke because he didn't think that it would light up, but it lit up like, a Christmas tree. So
this incident caused Lithia dealership thousands of dollars in damages. Linsky was ordered to pay the dealership $15,000 in restitution, and the man who was hurt nearly $600. In Grand Forks, Joshua Pagero, Valley News Live.
We reached out to the Lithia dealership for comment, but haven't heard back yet. Joby Linsky will have to serve 3 months out of his 1-year sentence, according to the Grand Forks County State's Attorney's Office. Hundreds of complaints and crash reports filed against MAT bus drivers in the past year. We obtained those reports through an open records request. In one video, you can see people flying out of their seats after a crash. Valley News Team's Joshua Pagero dug through the files and spoke to riders to bring you this exclusive story.
The day was June 24th of this year. MAT bus driver was driving along in downtown Fargo when he could not stop. He braces for impact and hits the bus in front of him. You can see people flying off their seats. A total of 7 people were on the bus, including the driver. In a report, he told investigators his accelerator got stuck and he hit the brakes, but it was not enough to stop the collision. One person was sent to the hospital and another person was treated on scene. This collision was part of more than 100 such incidents documented by MapBus in the past year. There are reports of drivers hitting parked cars and light poles. In one case, a bus ran over a woman's foot outside the ground transportation center. That driver was fired. There's hundreds of complaints of buses not showing up on time or even stopping for people. Several people we spoke to waiting for the bus enjoyed the service.
No real problems, none at all. Drivers are great, dispatchers are real nice and polite and everything.
It's nice and cool for the summer anyway, and then it's safe, you know, now that they have everybody wearing masks and stuff.
One daily rider offered advice to MapBus.
Hiring better drivers that don't drive like crazy idiots, and making sure all buses can transfer on time.
Drivers and passengers are required to wear masks on board, and one passenger says you'll receive a mask if you don't have one. In Fargo, Joshua Peguero, Valley News Live.
MapBus drivers are contracted through a company called First Transit. One person is